Welcome to the DIY Wedding Coach podcast, where your dream wedding meets your real life budget. I'm Corri, a DIY wedding coach with 35 years experience helping couples create beautiful, joyful, and affordable weddings. Whether you're knee deep in Pinterest boards, overwhelmed by family opinions, or just wondering where to start, you're in the right place. Each week, I'll share proven strategies, insider tips, and a whole lot of encouragement to help you plan your wedding with confidence and without stress. Let's do this together because your wedding should be everything you've dreamed of without losing your mind or your savings. Hey there, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Corri, the DIY wedding coach. Today, we are going to dive right into the topic that everybody just loves, the budget. Now, please, please, please don't turn this off. I promise we're going to honor and respect your budget. And I know that your budget might intimidate you or make you feel like you are already defeated, but that is where I shine. I want you to understand we are going to get through this. That is not your ceiling. That number you've come up with is not as the maximum amount you can spend. It is the foundation on which you stand in order to make every single decision for your wedding matter. The problem is that most couples sit down and pick out a random number because they don't really know where to start. They think that this number sounds reasonable, and then they start looking at vendors, or maybe they even start booking vendors, and they realize that that budget number that they think is so generous is actually eaten up right away. It's like a pink tax. It's wedding tax. Once you announce that you're calling because you are engaged and planning your wedding, things just change. Venues, vendors, everything just changes and becomes a little bit more expensive. Usually what happens is that you start making these phone calls or looking online and realize that you're starting out defeated and depressed. And that is not how every bride should feel. I don't think you should go into debt having to plan your wedding. I don't think that you should spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for a day when it's really the day after your wedding that matters. You want to be married to your fiance, the love of your life. So we're going to plan for that. And we're going to honor the number that you come up with. We are not going to make it feel intimidating. We are not going to give it any power. It's a number. It's like they say that the number on a scale is just a number, right? And we all let it intimidate us and discourage us. But we're not going to do that with your budget. And we're not going to do that with that stupid scale either. I don't want you to fight over your budget. Don't want this to be a negative aspect of your wedding planning. So an industry secret that I have, because I've worked with so many spreadsheets over the course of the last 36 years, is that the wedding industry relies on your emotional spending. You get emotionally attached to the dress. You get emotionally attached to the venue. You get emotionally attached to your idea of what everybody is expecting you to have for your wedding. And what I want you to really turn this around and think of is you're the executive manager of your wedding, and you need to treat your budget like a business blueprint, not a wish list. This is more than just we wish we could have. We're going to work with real numbers. We're going to build in a safety net. So what I want you to do is sit down with your fiance and come up with a real number, the real number that matters, what you have saved already, what you can save, and the amount of time that you have between now and your wedding date. Talk to the parents or grandparents or other people who said that they were going to contribute to your wedding, or you know who will, and ask them for a solid number. And it's not a shameful thing. It's not embarrassing. I've worked with a lot of couples who don't want to approach their parents because they don't want to put them into a financial bind. Believe me, I'm the parent of a lot of children. I knew what was coming one day. They're going to need shoes. They're going to need sporting goods supplies. They're going to need musical instruments, and they're all going to end up with some sort of an expense after school, college, wedding, trip, whatever the case is. As a parent, I know this is coming. Not all parents are prepared for this. Some parents think they're more prepared than others, and it's okay to ask. I have worked with a lot of parents over the years, and it's very interesting because I will say, what is the wedding budget? And usually I hear anything. It's fine. We've got this covered. And I'll say, wonderful. I know of a beautiful venue that's 20,000 for 2 hours. And so if you go beyond that, they charge more. catering is in addition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to make sure that we have a little bit of a shock value. And I usually use $20,000 because that's a shock value to somebody who has adult children, because the last time they got married, it was less. And if they've never been married, then they've never had the budget. So I want to make sure that we're talking real numbers. And if you need to use shock value with anybody who is going to contribute to your wedding, it's okay. It's okay to do that. You can call around to a couple of different venues, or you can call around to a caterers, or you can look at wedding gowns online and say, these are the number of ideas that I've gotten. And then you start working from there. Now, let's just use that same $20,000 as your budget. Okay, let's just say pull that out of thin air. You've got $20,000 to spend right away. I'd like you to take 15% off the top and just tuck that away. Pretend it doesn't even exist in your mind. And what I want you to say is you have a $17,000 budget, because we need that buffer. Things are going to go wrong. Things are not going to be as inexpensive as you thought. Something's going to need to be repaired, or you're going to need to have a different deposit for a different vendor. Something will go wrong. If you have that extra 15% buffer, you're less likely to panic. It's less likely to affect you, and you can solve the problem rather than wondering in your tailspin, how in the world are you ever going to get married on this budget? We should just elope. Have you already thought about that a couple times? I hope that you don't need to use that 15%. I do want you to have it set aside anyway. And if you don't need to use it, great. Spend it on your honeymoon. Spend it on something for your home together. Spend it on something that is going to be fun, but it's there if you need it. So now what I want you to do is grab your worksheet from the show notes and go through it with your fiance. It's just a one-page budget boundary tool so that you can stop guessing and you can stop feeling guilty for spending money. That's the other thing. Without a budget, you start feeling guilty for calling someone on Marketplace and saying, hey, I'd like to buy your used vases, or, and you're spending $15, but is it guilty for spending $15, or did you make a really good purchase? You know that when you can balance that against some real numbers. So use the budget boundary worksheet and come up with your real budget. Then you can start working from there. You're not guessing. You're not pulling numbers out. You're not panicking, and you're not taking any extra credit out. If you choose to use credit cards for your budget for your wedding, choose to use credit cards that are going to give you some benefits, some travel benefits, some points benefits, something that you can use. Be very wise about what you choose to do if you're going to use credit cards, and nail down how much others are going to contribute. Get a real number from them. They might want to say, I'm going to take care of the bar. I really think an open bar is the way to go. I want to take care of the open bar. And then you can work on that with them. They can pay for that. And that's not something that you have to pay for. Maybe you don't want an open bar, but somebody says, well, I'll pay for the catering. Fantastic. That's wonderful. Or I'll pay for your wedding gown. And I've done that. And it was my honor to be able to do that. And I told my daughter-in-law, I don't have a budget. You can have whatever you want. And I meant it. And I knew how much I could get away with spending. And I also know her very well. She's very frugal, found a beautiful gown that was well within my budget. So I was able to use the rest of my budget to gift to the couple. So this is not a scary subject. This is a subject that needs to be broached. It needs to be talked about. And then that way there are fewer fights. If you know I have $10,000 to spend on my wedding, then you know you're going to scale things down just a little bit. You're going to shop a little bit harder. You're going to maybe buy some things that are repurposed. There are so many couples that are selling their wares on Marketplace and Craigslist and all the different places. So make sure that you're looking into those options as well. We'll talk more about having fun within your budget on another episode. But I really, really, really want you to sit down and have the conversation. Your budget matters. You matter. Your dream wedding matters. We have to start in reality, though, in order to make your dream come true. We have to have your real budget. All right, grab your worksheet, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the DIY Wedding Coach podcast. If today's episode helped you breathe a little easier about planning, hit subscribe and never miss a tip. You want a step-by-step plan to take you from engagement to I do without the stress? Check out my 8-module DIY wedding planning course, The Empowered Bride, at thediyweddingcoach.com. It's everything that you need to plan your dream wedding with confidence and ease. Until next time, remember, your wedding should reflect you, not just a trend or a budget line. You've got this.